All right, circling back on some of the films that I missed throughout 2025. I know there's not a ton, but there are some. And Tubi had an original come out early in the year. I want to say like real early, January or something, called Tarot Curse. And I don't know why I skipped this one because I definitely went to press play on it quite a few times and it just never happened. And so I was looking back on some of these and I was looking back at Tubi and I was like, oh yeah, Tarot Curse. Let me throw this on, see how it plays out, see if this is worth my time. And I finished it, so at least there's that, right? Had to be at least decent ish. That's not true. I've definitely finished some terrible films, especially on Tubi, Adopted 1 and 2. Anybody? But yeah, Tarot Curse. Yeah, as one would expect, this deals with people who go and get their tarot read, and wouldn't you know it, one of them gets the death card. Shocking. I know it never happens in tarot movies. Wink, wink. But yeah, they get the tarot read, and then they start dying. Now, this, of course, reminds me of the movie Tarot that came out from last year, which I was one of the only fans out there for this film. I actually showed it to my kids and to Kaylee, and we all enjoyed it. So I guess my whole family is filled with people with bad taste, apparently. But I definitely liked that movie much more than this one. I didn't hate this one. This one just had pretty lame, pretty generic characters. They were fine though. Their acting in this is fine. There's definitely some moments. There's one in particular where a girl is having like her hair pulled off, and the reaction acting to that was pretty poor. But yeah, the characters they're kind of generic, uh, typical horror characters, and they're fine. They're fine. They're adequate enough for this production. Um, the one thing that this definitely had over Tarot, uh, that I wish Tarot had was gore. This actually had some pretty damn good gore, which is probably what kept me watching it because we get a good kill in the opening. For our cold open, and I was like, oh, okay, we're actually going to have like practical on screen gore. And we do. It's all practical. All the gore in this. And, there's not a ton of it, but what we do get is quite good. There's one in a vending machine that looked pretty damn gnarly. There is one with a bowling ball that was really good. So yeah, that if you took the gore from this film and inserted it into Tarot from last year, then that would make that film even better. Where that film really succeeded, though, for me, is in the variety, right? What I did like about the Tarot movie is that there was this illustration on each of the tarot cards, and that represented the killer that was going to come after them in that film. And so we got a huge variety of monsters that were coming after our characters. And I really liked seeing all these different iterations of this curse presenting itself in different ways. And with this one, it really just comes down to, monkey's paw, careful what you wish for kind of thing. And there's actually a funny scene, and at first I was making fun of it because I was like, this is such bad writing, this is so silly. But then I started thinking about the premise of the film and the whole careful what you wish for thing. So I did go, okay, I guess it makes sense. But there's literally a scene where someone like confesses their love, and the person's like, no, can't be, can't happen. And then literally 1 minute later, maybe two at most, they're like, okay, let's be together. It was pretty funny to me. I was like, this is essentially the next scene. There's literally one scene in between, and it's like a minute long, and then it's straight up just them like being like, okay, like, yeah, we're gonna be together. So I found that to be pretty funny. But as I said, with the premise, I'm willing to forgive it. So It's okay. It's a pretty classic Tubi film. It's on the higher end of quality when it comes to Tubi. Not the best by any means, right? There's been some very good Tubi movies, not a ton of them. But if you've watched a lot of Tubi originals, you kind of understand the quality of Tubi. And as far as the production value, the acting, the story, all of that stuff goes, this is like a little past the middle if I was to put them all together. Um, yeah, it's a totally fine watch. It's pretty silly. It's predictable. The characters are nonsensical at times. Of course, they're rejecting the obvious, the obviousness of everything multiple times. One character is, of course, the believer, and no one else will believe them. Another problem I honestly had with this movie is that our main character, Tara, who I kept thinking her name was actually Taro when the movie started. I was like, really? You're going to name the character Taro? But it's Tara. Um, I just didn't like her. I didn't care for her performance. I actually thought she was the weakest. And her character was just so off putting to me throughout. But the card she draws and how it plays into the end and everything, I liked that. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I don't know. She's just such a flat character. Just so uninteresting. They try to build some kind of drama with her and talking to her teacher. And then there's this whole like conversation that felt so inserted into the film where she's talking to her teacher and her teacher's going on a long speech about God. And I don't know, that just felt like maybe the director or the writer's own personal beliefs kind of being shoehorned as like a soapbox kind of thing in here of like, you better turn to God. That's how it felt to me in the moment. But whatever. I just didn't care for the character all that much. So she wasn't a very interesting lead. And the one good thing, though, is that they do spread out the time with all of the characters pretty evenly. So she's not, soaking up the lion's share of screen time. We do get a lot from the other characters, but it's a minimalist film, right? It's got a small budget, modest budget, and that's fine. Of course, I'm fine with that. But good practicals, that's a plus. And the film doesn't feel like it was made on the fly for 2 cents, right? It feels like it has a decent budget and production quality to it. Lower end B movie style, but still there. So it wasn't a terrible watch. I got through it no problem. Um, and I don't really recommend it, of course, but if you are into this idea, there's also the main villains of the movie that we get in human form is this like witch doctor looking guy. I think his name is like Bone Daddy. That's what it was. Which reminds me, of course, of Nightmare Before Christmas. But then there's also this tarot reader chick who kind of reminds me of I was going to say the old woman from Drag Me to Hell. I guess there's some similarities between them. But kind of a classic tarot reader, like evil looking woman, sinister kind of thing. The Bone Daddy guy, his acting and his like spookiness is pretty lame, to be honest. And as far as she goes, it's all just very generic. It's very seen it, been there, done that kind of shit. But that's it. Anyway, I've said it enough. It's fine-ish. It's not good by any means, but it's watchable. It's watchable. It's one of those movies that I watch once and I finish it and I'm just like, okay, all right, got some decent kills. I'm happy with that, right? I don't have to love everything about a movie, but as long as you get a few decent practical kills, that's gonna be better than sitting through some lame ass film that has nothing else to offer. So I'll take it as a small W, but not a very big one. All right, let me know if you watch it. It's on Tubi. Adios.